Hello everyone, thank you for coming. Welcome to Professor Ace's class. I wish to help you guys in examining certain literary plays, books, and whatnot for classes. And I figure I'd start with one that I quite enjoy, which is Julius Caesar, written by William Shakespeare. But before we do any of that, let me explain a little bit about our author, William Shakespeare. I'm sure Shakespeare is a name that we've all heard, and is a very popular poet and a very important poet in terms of literary examination. He was considered England's national poet and still is to this day. And he is one of the most commonly studied playwrights and poets of all time. He lived from 1564 all the way up until 1616, born in the market town of Stratford-upon-Avon, which was a small market town, not the most luxurious or the largest town. He didn't come from the most money, but he was more well off than most. His father was a farmer, leather worker, tanner, and he made a decent living for himself. And with his amount of prestige, he was able to marry a member of the nobility, and then they were able to have William Shakespeare as their child. Shakespeare, throughout his life, was able to write 37 plays, and he did a collection of sonnets. Which we will look at and examine some other time with some of his other plays and maybe some sonnets. And one of his main achievements was him founding the Globe Theatre, which was the theater he used to perform all of his plays and such, and it was able to show how the plays could be done and how sound can reflect and be based kind of on an improvement to the Greek amphitheater design. Shakespeare, while he wrote his poems, he was an avid user of a strategy known as iambic pentameter. That means it's the collection of unstressed and stressed syllables, such as unloved. See how I stressed love, and then un is the unstressed syllable. And then each line of iambic pentameter contains 5 pairs of 10 total syllables, each pair containing an unstressed and a stressed syllable. Shakespeare believed that this created a very seamless verbal flow and made it easier to speak with iambic pentameter. And not only is the author important when studying, but I'd like to take some time and explain a little bit of the history of the subject matter of this play, which is Julius Caesar as well as the Roman Empire. Rome is the longest running empire of history. It lasted up until it started from the 8th century BC and it lasted till 5th century AD, which was a long time from the founding originally of Rome all the way to the fall of the Western Roman Empire, otherwise known as the Holy Roman Empire. And Julius Caesar is probably one of the most famous rulers of Rome that most people know. Julius Caesar was born Gaius Julius Caesar, and he was born very poor and had a rough start at life. His family were poor, but they were able to marry him into the nobility of the Senate and such, so that he wasn't picked on that, and that he could have some prestige and a chance at a better life than they had. Caesar was able to grow his ranks and ambition until he was able to become a general and a soldier, where he led many sieges, such as the Siege of Gaul, which is in modern-day France. This play takes place after Caesar's returning from his successful triumphant return of sieging Gaul. So this is right after besieged Gaul and brought them into the Roman Empire. And Caesar was well beloved by the people. People, and he had many other achievements for Rome that weren't necessarily militaristic, such as the aqueducts. He was the person who started the building of the aqueducts and all that, and roads. So everywhere in the empire there were roads leading to it, cobblestone. So many places after they fought, and after the siege was done, Caesar kind of left their government intact to basically say, you're a member of the empire now. We will expect tribute, but otherwise you can run things and keep your local elected officials as long as you pay tribute, and we'll get roads and everything, which some places left it better off, which formed something known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Now that you have a little bit more of an understanding of Shakespeare as well as Rome, I would like to go and turn to our first page of our novel, and I'm going to read you Act 1, Scenes 1 and 2, and then we shall discuss them briefly to explain and what is going on and like the literary elements used in this piece. Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Flavius, Marillus, and certain commoners, including a carpenter and a cobbler, over the stage. Flavius. Hence, home, you idle creatures, get you home. Is this a holiday? What know you not? Being mechanical, you ought not walk upon a laboring day without the sign of your profession. Speak, what trade art thou? Carpenter. Why, sir, a carpenter. Marillus. Where is thy leather apron and thy rule? What doest thou with thy best apparel on? You, sir, what trade are you? Cobbler. Truly, sir, in respect of a fine workman, I am but as you would say, a cobbler. Marillus. But what trade art thou? Answer me directly. Cobbler. A trade, sir, that I hope I may use with a safe conscience, which is indeed, sir, a mender of bad souls. Flavius. What trade, thou knave, thou naughty knave? What trade? Commoner. Nay, I beseech you, sir, be not out with me. Yet if you be out, sir, I can mend you. Marillus. What meanest thou by that? Mend me, thou saucy fellow. Cobbler. Why, sir, cobble you. Flavius. Thou art a cobbler, art thou? Cobbler. Truly, sir, all that I live by is with thee all. I meddle with no tradesman matters nor women's matters. But withal I am indeed, sir, a surgeon to old shoes when they are in great danger. I recover them, as proper men as ever trod upon neat's leather have gone upon my handiwork. Flavius. But wherefore art not in thy shop today? Why doest thou lead these men about the streets? Cobbler. Truly, sir, to wear out their shoes, to get myself into more work. But indeed, sir, we make holiday to see Caesar, and to rejoice in his triumph. Marius. Wherefore rejoice? What conquest brings he home? What tributaries follow him to Rome? To grace in captive bonds his chariot wheels. You blocks, you stones, you worse than senseless things. O you hard hearts, you cruel men of Rome, know you not Pompey? Many a time and oft have you climbed up the walls and battlements, to towers and windows ye to chimney tops. Your infants in your arms, and there have sat the livelong day with patient expectation to see great Pompey pass the streets of Rome. But when you saw his chariot but appear, have you not made a universal shout, that Tiber trembled underneath her banks? To hear the replication of your sounds made in her concave shores, and now you may put on your best attire, and do you now cull out a holiday, and do you now strew flowers in his way, that comes in triumph over Pompey's blood. Begone! Run to your houses, fall upon your knees, pray to the gods to intermit the plague that needs must light on this ingratitude. Flavius, go, go, good countrymen, and for thy fault assemble all the poor men of your sort, draw them to Tiber's banks, and weep your tears into the channel, till the lowest stream do kiss the most exalted shores of all. All the commoners exit. See where'st thou basest metal not be moved, they vanish tongue-tied in their guiltiness. Go you down this way towards the Capitol. This way will I disrobe the images, if you do find them decked with ceremonies. Marius, may we do so. You know it is the feast of Lupercal. Flavius, it is no matter. Let no images be hung with Caesar's trophies. I'll about and drive away the vulgar from the streets. So do you too when you perceive them thick. Their growing feathers plucked from Caesar's wing will make him fly in ordinary pitch. Who else would soar above the view of men, and keep us all in servile fearfulness? They exit in different directions. Scene 2. Julius Caesar, Antony for the course, Calpurnia, Portia, Decius, Cicero, Brutus, Cassius, Casca, a soothsayer, and then Marius and Flavius and commoners. Caesar, Calpurnia. Casca, peace ho! Caesar speaks. Caesar, Calpurnia. Calpurnia, here, my lord. Caesar, stand you directly in Antonius's way, when he doth run his course. Antonius, Antony, Caesar, my lord. Caesar, forget not in your speed, Antonius, to touch Calpurnia, for our elders say, the barren touched in this holy cause. Shake off their sterile curse. Antony, I shall remember. When Caesar says do this, it is performed. Caesar, set out, and leave no ceremony out. Soothsayer, Caesar. Caesar, ha! Who calls? Casca, bid every noise be still, peace yet again. Caesar, who is it in the press that calls on me? I hear a tongue shriller than all the music. Cries, Caesar, speak. Caesar is turned to hear. Soothsayer, beware the Ides of March. Caesar, what man is that? Brutus, a soothsayer bids you beware the Ides of March. Caesar, set him before me. Let me see his face. Cassius, fellow, come from the throng. The soothsayer comes forward. Look upon Caesar. Caesar, what sayest thou to me now? Speak once again. Soothsayer, beware the Ides of March. Caesar, he is a dreamer. Let us leave him. Pass. Senate, all but Brutus and Cassius exit. Cassius, will you go see the order of the course? Brutus, not I. Cassius, I pray you do. Brutus, I am not gamesome. I do lack some part of that quick spirit that is in Antony. Let me not hinder, Cassius, your desires. I'll leave you. Cassius, Brutus, I do observe you now of late. I have not from your eyes the gentleness and show of love that as I wont to hear. You bear too stubborn and too strange a hand over your friend that loves you. Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn to the trouble of my countenance. Merely upon myself vexed I am. Of late with passions of such difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my believers, but let not therefore my good friends be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one. Nor construe any future my neglect. Then that poor Brutus, with himself at war, forgets and shows the love of other men. Cassius, then Brutus, I have much mistook your passion, by means whereof this breast of mine hath buried thoughts of great value, worthy conjugations. Tell me, good Brutus, can you see your face? Brutus, no, Cassius, for the eye sees not itself, but by reflection by some other things. Cassius, 'tis just. And it's very much lamented, Brutus, you have no such mirrors as will turn your hidden worthiness into your eye, that you may see your shadow. I have heard, where many of the best respect in Rome, except immortal Caesar, speaking of Brutus, and groaning underneath this age's yoke, have wished that noble Brutus had his eyes. Brutus, into what dangers would you lead me, Cassius, that you would have me seek into myself for that which is not in me? Cassius, therefore, good Brutus, be prepared to hear, and since you know you cannot see yourself, as so well as by reflection I, your glass, will modestly discover to yourself, that of yourself which you yet not know of, and be not jealous of me, gentle Brutus. Were I a common laughter, or did use to stale with ordinary oaths my love? To every new protester, if you know, that I do fawn on men and hug them hard, and after scandal them, or if you know, then I profess myself in banqueting, to all the rout that holds me dangerous, flourish and shout. Brutus, what means this shouting? I do fear the people choose Caesar for their king. Cassius, aye, do you fear it? Then must I think you will not have it so. Brutus, I would not, Cassius, yet I love him well. But wherefore do you hold me here so long? What is it that you would impart to me? If it be aught towards the great general good, set honor in one eye and death in the other, and I will look on both indifferently, and let the gods so speed me as I love the name of honor more than I fear death. Cassius, I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outright flavor. While honor is the subject of my story, I cannot tell what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be as live to be, in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled timber chafing with his shores, Caesar said to me, Darest thou Cassius, now, leap in with me in this augury flood, and swim to yonder point upon the word. Accounted as I was, I plunged in, and bade him follow. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it, with lusty sinews throwing it aside, and steaming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, Help me, Cassius, or I sink. I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulders, the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of timber, did I the tired Caesar, and this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature that must bend his body, if Caesar carelessly but nod to him. He has a fervour when he was in Spain, and when the fit was on him I did mark, how he did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. His coward lips did from their colour fly, and that some eye whose bend doth awe the world did lose his lustre, I did hear him groan. Ay, and that tongue of his that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books. Alas, it cried, give me some drink, Titanius, as a sick girl your gods, it doth amaze me. A man of such feeble temper should so get the start of a majestic world, and bear the palm alone. Shout, flourish. Brutus, another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar. Cassius, why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about, to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar, what should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together, yours is as fair a name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is as heavy, conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth thus our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great, age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. When went there by an age such a great flood, but it was famed with more than what with one man. When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walks encompassed but one man? Now it is Rome indeed, and room indeed, where there is in it but only one man. Oh, you and I have heard our fathers say, there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king. Brutus, that you do love me, I am nothing jealous. What you would work me to, I have some aim. How I have thought of this, and of this times, I shall recount, however, for this present. I would not, so with love I must entreat you, be any further moved with what you have said. I will consider what you have said. I will with patience hear and find a time, both meet to hear and answer such high things. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome. Under these hard conditions, as this time is like to lay upon us. Cassius, I am glad that my weak words have struck, but thus must show a fire from Brutus. Enter Caesar on his train. Brutus, the games are done, and Caesar is returning. Cassius, as they pass by, pluck Casca by the sleeve. Even he will after his sore fashion tell you what hath proceeded worthy note today. I will do so, but look you, Cassius, the angry spot doth grow on Caesar's brow, and all the rest look like a chidden train. Calpurnia's cheek is pale, and Cicero looks with such ferret and such fiery eyes as we have seen him in the Capitol, being crossed in conference by some senators. Cassius, Casca will tell us what the matter is. Caesar, Antonius, Anthony, Caesar, let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. Yond Cassius have a lean and hungry look. He thinks too much. Such men are dangerous. Anthony, fear him not, Caesar. He's not dangerous. He is a noble Roman and well given. Caesar, would he were fatter, but I fear him not. Yet if my name was liable to fear. I do not know the man I should avoid. As soon as the sparse Cassius, he reads much. He is a great observer, and he looks quite through the deeds of men. He loves no plays, as thou doest, Anthony. He hears no music. Seldom he smiles, and smiles in such a sort that he mocked himself and scorned his spirit, that could be moved to smile at anything. Such man as he, never at heart's ease, whiles they behold a greater than themselves, and therefore are they very dangerous. I rather tell thee what it is to be feared, than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. Come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf, and tell me truly what thou thinkest of him. Senate Caesar and his train exit, but Casca remains behind. Casca, you pulled me by the cloak. Would you speak with me? Brutus, aye, Casca, tell us what hath chanced today, that Caesar looks so sad. Casca, why, you were with him, were you not? Brutus, I should not then ask Casca what has chanced. Casca, why, there was a crown offered him, and being offered him, he put it by with the back of his hand thus, and then the people fell a shouting. Brutus, what was the second noise for? Casca, why, for that too. Cassius, they shouted thrice. What was the last cry for? Casca, why, for that too. Brutus, was the crown offered him thrice? Casca, I marry wasn't, and he put it by thrice, every time gentler than other, and ever putting by, mine honest neighbors shouted. Cassius, who offered him the crown? Casca, why, Anthony. Brutus, tell us the manner of it, gentle Casca. Casca, I can so well be hanged as tell the manner of it. It was mere foolery. I did not mark it. I saw Mark Antony offer him a crown, yet 'twas not a crown neither. 'Twas one of those coronets. And as I told you, he put it by once, and for all that, to my thinking, he would fain have had it. Then he offered it to him again, then he put it by again, and to my thinking, he was very loath to lay a finger off it. And then he offered it the third time. He put it the third time by, and still as he refused it, the rabblement hooted and clapped their cocked hands, and threw up their sweaty nightcaps, and uttered such a deal of stinking breath, because Caesar refused the crown, that it has almost choked Caesar, for he swooned and fell down at it. And for my own part, I durst not laugh for fear of opening my lips, and receiving the bad air. Cassius, be but soft, I pray you. What did Caesar swoon? Casca, he fell down in the marketplace, and foamed at mouth, and was speechless. Brutus, 'tis very like he hath the falling sickness. Cassius, no, Caesar hath it not, but you and I, and honest Casca, we have the falling sickness. Cassius, Casca, I know not what you mean by that, but I am sure Caesar fell down. If the Tagrad people did not clap him and hiss him, according as he pleased and displeased them, as they used to do the players in the theatre, I am no true man. Brutus, what said he when he came unto himself? Casca, marry, before he fell down, when he perceived the common herd was glad he refused the crown. He plucked me ope his doublet and offered them his throat to cut. Am I had been a man of any occasion, I would have not taken him at a word, and I might go to hell among the rogues. But still he fell. When he came to himself again, he said if he had done or said something amiss, he desired their worships to think it was his infirmary. 3 or 4 wretches where I stood cried, Alas, good soul! and forgave him with all their hearts. But there's no heed to be taken of them. If Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have done no less. Brutus, and after that he came thus sad away? Aye. Cicero, did Cicero say anything? Casca, he spoke Greek. Cassius, to what effect? Casca, nay, and I tell you that I'll never look you in the face again. But those that understand him smiled at one another and shook their heads. But for mine own part it was Greek to me. I can tell you more news now. Marcus and Flavius, for pulling scarves off Caesar's images, are put to silence. Fare you well, there is more foolery yet, if I could remember it. Cassius, will you sup for me tonight, Casca? Casca, no, I am promised forth. Cassius, will you dine with me tomorrow? Casca, aye, if I be alive, and your mind hold, and your dinner worth the eating. Cassius, good, I will expect you. Casca, do so, farewell both. He exits. Brutus, what a blunt fellow in this grown to be. He was a quick metal when he went to school. Cassius, so is he now an exception of any bold or noble enterprise, however he puts on this tardy form. This rudeness is a sauce of his good wit, which gives men's stomach to digest his words with better appetite. Brutus, and so it is. For this time I will leave you. Tomorrow, if you please to speak with me, I will come home to you, or if you will, come home to me, and I will wait for you. Cassius, I will do so. Till then, think of the world. Brutus exits. Well, Brutus, thou art noble, yet I see thy honorable metal might be wrought, from that it is disposed. Therefore it is meet that noble minds keep ever what their likes. For who so firm that cannot be seduced? Caesar doth bear me hard, but he loves Brutus. If I were Brutus now, and he were Cassius, he should not humour me. I will this night in several hands in at his windows throw, as if they came from several citizens. Writings, all tending to be good opinion, that Rome holds of his name, wherein obscurely Caesar's ambition shall be glanced at. And after that, let Caesar seat him sure, for we will shake him, or worse days endure. He exits. So that was the end of Act 1, Scene 2. And a lot happened in those amount of pages, so let me break it down. At the beginning, we see from the Marius and Flavius, they're basically berating the commoners about how they shouldn't be there. Why are they not at work? This is an event, and basically for nobility. They're celebrating the festival of Lupercal, which is basically a tradition in ancient Rome where a bunch of men would be naked and running around and like touching women, which then people believed if they were lucky enough to be touched by one of these men, that they'd be fertile and or become pregnant to bear a child. It's a very antiquated practice, but that's what they hope to get out of the festival, as well as celebrate Caesar's triumphant return. And as you saw, as Caesar was going down on the roads, people cheered for him. It was a large, basically, party to celebrate the fact that Caesar has returned. And Brutus and Cassius. Brutus is one of Caesar's closest friends. Him and Mark Antony. And these people were proud. But Cassius believed that Caesar Caesar was getting older, frail, but too ambitious for his own good and for the good of Rome. So, throughout his entire talk with Brutus and Casca, he is attempting to convince Brutus that Caesar needs to die. That, for the sake of Rome, Caesar must die. Brutus is not so sure because, yes, he is a patriot. He loves Rome. He is very patriotic. But he's not fully sure if Caesar is that bad for Rome. Rome, but the more they talk, the more that Brutus seems to start to switch his language to start to believe what Cassius is saying to him about Caesar being a threat to Rome and her growth that would stunt Rome's growth. Oh, as they're talking, Caesar's parade passes, and you hear Caesar talking to Antony about how he sees Cassius as someone to be worried about. That he's someone who's too smart, too intelligent, too too fat, and too cunning, that he needs to be watched. But Mark Antony basically is like, it's fine. He's not a threat. And then we go to Casca when Casca goes, and Brutus and Cassius basically grill Casca on what happened and why all the cheering was happening, and Casca regales them with the tale of how Caesar rejected being crowned king 3 times. Or as they say, thrice. And how that basically turns into the the public loving Caesar and the public more fully being on Caesar's side. But then it gets to the point in the conversation where they say, but there's no need to be taken of them. If Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have done no less. Basically implying that the public is stupid and that they would love Caesar no matter what he did, whether it was good or, in that case, very, very bad. And as you saw with how my reading the iambic pentameter led to an entire flow of the act in the scenes. Scenes with the antiquated language and such. But that basically is setting the stage for the plot to end Caesar's life. I hope this helped explain Julius Caesar and start our long unit together. The next time we come back, we will dive deeper into the literary tactics used there before we go into scene 3. So please, if you have a chance, read scene 3 in your novel. And then we'll return in about a week to discuss and examine scene 3 and look at some of the literary devices that we've seen in scene 3. In scene 1 and 2, we get a good introduction into the iambic pentameter and like Shakespeare's like vocabulary and writing style with such words as like thrice, or doest thou and thou. These words that we aren't fully familiar with and that have been antiquated and lost to time because people don't speak that way anymore. I hope you... Class dismissed.